All right, well, Alan asked me to do a talk about Postman.
It's because we're doing a lunch and learn on Postman tomorrow.
So Postman is a tool I use quite often. Alan actually asked me to do it about a feature that I didn't really use. But I do use Postman, so I told him I would cover both. I would learn that feature. So the thing Alan wanted to cover was they have a new option under Postman called mock server. So what mock server allows you to do is it allows you to set up endpoints. So you can set up paths, like users. You can set your response code, and then you could, set up what you want your response body to be. So like if you were going to send back, some JSON, you could, send back an ID, an array of users, whatever.
So this is setting up a mock?
Basically a mock server. So,
Okay.
So there's kind of two sides to this, okay? So the side Alan wanted me to cover is if you're writing a front end and you need a server to hit for mock data, okay? So let's say you're writing something in Vue or React and you want to mimic, go ahead and actually hitting a server with, Axios or something. This will allow you to actually set up a server with endpoints and set mock data inside it.
I had no idea Postman did that.
I didn't either,
Is it
until
something-
Alan asked me to present on it.
Postman is basically used for testing.
Right. So Postman originally came out for the opposite use, which
Yeah.
was to hit endpoints and test and get responses. Because you can do it with a browser, but you can only do gets. Once you start getting in past a get request, you're going to have problems. So we'll get to that. So anyway, you can go and you can set up as many requests as you want, and you can set the responses. And their little tool right here isn't great as far as all the options. So what you can do is once you actually create one, it'll generate a URL and everything for you. So here's one I created a little bit ago, and it gives you, where is it? It gives you a specific URL that they generate for you, and then you can actually hit these just like you normally would use Postman, and you can get your responses. And you can go to the browser, and you can hit that actual endpoint. If I could find the actual URL here. Where is it? They hide it. There it is. So if I came over here and actually hit this URL, users, there's my response. So it's really nice. It lets you do that. So you can set up all your different responses. You can set up, set what types of verbs they listen for. So you can have, gets, posts, deletes, puts, all of those good old HTTP verbs.
So Nate, that's creating an endpoint on a website. Or
Yeah.
On an actual
Okay, so now, just so you guys know, there are usage. So this will show us how many times. But with the free tier, you get 1,000 requests per month before you have to start paying. And then if you pay $8 a month, you get up to 10,000, and then it's $18 and you get 100,000. So they keep track. Kind of a self call or whatever you want to call it. I actually created one of these years ago. Mine's completely free. You just log in with your GitHub. And it does the exact same thing. So you guys are welcome to use mine also. It's just testapi.io. But it's the exact same thing. You set what you want your route. You can do private or public. So you can get an API key. All the different request types. Set your return messages, response codes, and headers. So it's basically the exact same thing, only it just will add on, basically use your GitHub ID with the URL. And you can see all the responses, or the requests that come in if you want to actually see the data that came in on the request. So you can see both. So that's another option, just so you guys know, if you run through 100 or 1,000 requests and you don't want to have to pay. Then on the other side of Postman, the way that most people use it, sorry, Alan, is let's say you're writing an API. So this was just a quick API I set up in Go. And so right now I have my auth endpoints written and basically my CRUD endpoints. So I have, create, delete, list, update, and view.
Can you make that bigger?
Probably. Here's, like let's say our list. So it's just getting users out of a database and sending them back in a JSON response. So normally if I wanted to test this, there's not really an easy way to do this. Well, as far as with a list, you could. So normally I would go and I would run my server. And it's going to run on localhost 8000, I believe. Once it's done building.
Next lightning talk, you can tell us about Commander.
Oh yeah, Commander. I wonder if I can change the font size in here. There we go. Alright, I'm not sure why it's taking so long to build, but give it 1 second. There we go. Alright, so I'm running this on localhost 8000. So since it's a get, with this one, if I wanted to test it, whoops. I could. Now, let's say I wanted to create a user. What am I going to do? So I need to send a post. Well, about the only way you normally could do it without Postman is you'd actually have to create an HTML form, set the method to post, and go through that. And if you're going to do a delete, that's even harder. And if you're going to do some of the crazy verbs, it's basically impossible. So what Postman allows you to do is you can basically come in here, and you can just, hey, I want to hit a URL. Users, and they give you a ton of options. So if I just hit this, it's going to give me my response. So there's my response from my API. But they give you a ton of options. So you know how normally you can do query parameters up here on the URL. Well, they make it real easy for you. You can just start typing them down here, and it'll automatically add it to the URL. You can save these as different like presets and stuff. For authorization, you can do built-in HTTP auth. You can set all your headers, so you can set up all the types of headers. For posts, like let's say I'm sending to create a user. Let's get rid of that. You can come in here, you can send it with no body type. You can send it as form data. You can send it as X form data or WW form data encoded. You can send it as raw. You can even send binary if you really want to, like if you need to upload a file. So like with raw, you can do that, and then you can, change your header type to JSON. So if you wanted to type in, just raw JSON in here, you could do that. Or if you're using like form data, then you gives you the nice option of, just typing in the fields and it'll generate a post for you. They even have an option now for testing. You can put in what you expect back and do some variables and stuff with that. I haven't played with that a whole lot.
Something similar that we use at Pure Source is SOAP UI, and our QA testers have a suite of tests within SOAP UI. They go through their functional tests through the API testing tool. So it could be a very valuable tool for a recurring testing suite.
Yeah. So, if you're using automated testing, obviously that's going to test it, but this is great for like as you're building an API, and if you're not doing it TDD, if you actually want to see the responses coming out. So like this is an example, like a lot of times when I'm writing an API, sorry, I know that's just going to be hard to see, but as I was building this API, basically every time I added an endpoint or resource and then an endpoint, I created, you can save your request in here, and basically save like what your token is and all that. You can do authentication and stuff. And so that way, as I'm building out and doing stuff, I can test it. That way I'm not having to worry about quickly mocking out a front end or something and figuring out a way to test these endpoints. So it's a great tool, especially in my opinion, if you're writing an API and you need a way to interface and see all that data and actually hit all your endpoints.
Something that I found handy with Postman that I haven't found with SoapUI is that in the folder level, you can set the authentication there,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to set it at all the endpoints. So if
Right.
you're doing multiple
Yeah, there's a lot of, they have a lot of options for like basically setting like presets. They have a whole bunch of presets in there for headers, and they have presets in there for like all kinds of stuff for params and all kinds of stuff. You can do bulk edits. You can create examples. And yeah, you can save these collections. You can actually share them with other people online. I'm not sure what features are paid versus not. So yeah, like here's my workspace and I can invite other people. Some of the features are cost money. Another cool thing they have is this right here, capture API requests with Postman. So this is if you're actually writing a front end and you want to also see the requests that your front end is making to the back end without using like DevTools or see more information. You install a plugin in your browser and then you turn this on and they'll connect with each other and all your requests will show up in here. So you can kind of track those in here too. I've used that a few times. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Originally it was just like a Chrome simple plugin, and then they turned it in. It got full featured enough that they turned it into a Chrome app, and now it's a standalone desktop app. So.
I heard Chrome actually kicked them out, so they had to give it a
Well, they got to the point where they were pushing the boundaries of like security-wise what they could do and still be under the Chrome environment without having their own direct access to the desktop. So. You know, if you're going to run servers and do stuff like, I mean, there's only so far you can go before the Chrome limitation is going to hold you back. So.
Do you think that's an Electron app?
Yeah, I'm sure it's Electron.
Yeah.
I basically guarantee it because they rewrote it really, really, really fast.
So I have some comments.
Sure.
When I was at CodeMash, there was basically 2 workshops that, they were about QA and testing and stuff, but they both focused on Postman and using it, so it seems to be pretty popular. The other thing was, it's really cool, I didn't even know this was available, but in web tools, development tools, both for Chrome and Firefox, like you can copy like a network request and like copy it as like a curl command and like 5 different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you can
You
take
can
most
import
of
in.
those and import them as an
Yeah.
endpoint. So you can basically take an active live request
And carry it over.
import it into Postman.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do that because I want to see what's going on. I want to see more information than DevTools provides. So yeah, it's nice to be able to do that. One other cool thing, if you do their mock API, they have this one cool thing I just noticed today. View on where is it? Oh, publish docs. So they generate, I'm pretty sure it's probably like a Swagger. Oh no, that's publishing it. Is that it? Sure, let's see. Yeah. So they generate this cool documentation for you too. And yeah, you can do the same thing. Like you can see it as like a curl request, how to hit it. You can do it as like jQuery, Ruby, PHP. So they kind of have the code in there, what you expect to get back. So my guess is this is a Swagger file with a Swagger viewer. So if you haven't played with Swagger, it's really cool. But yeah, so that's kind of a cool thing they automatically do for you. And then you can use these as...
Export from Swagger and import it into service.
Yeah, you can import a Swagger file into Postman. I believe you're correct on that.
I think they're also renaming, because I was doing this recently with the API stuff, I think they're renaming Swagger stuff to be called Open API.
Are they?
Swagger still exists, but it implements specifications Open API.
Gotcha.
Probably a good thing.
So yeah. So that's about everything I know about Postman. Anybody have any questions?
Well, let me ask you a question then.
Sure.
Since that's everything you know. Because I use Postman, and one of the things, I use the environments. Does anybody use the environments?
Yeah, a little bit.
I kind of want collection-specific environments. Is that a thing? It's like, because it's like I have collections for different APIs, different uses, right? I have an environment for my local machine, an environment for my target server, but it's like I have this huge list of environments that are just like, and it's like I really just want, this collection has these sets of environments that I can switch on, you know?
I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that
I know
one.
they have some environment variables that are scoped somehow. Because they have global and then they have some scoped environment variables, but I can't remember what level it's at.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll look at that a little more closely then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. I think you can, because like when you're setting up a mock server, it takes you through and you set these up, and then it actually asks you what environment you want to use. So you can pick an environment specifically for that API.
That's,
So
like I said, as far as I know, that's just like one big global list of environments. And that's
yeah, so I'm not sure. Oh, and they do have the option to make a server private. So I guess they'll send you an API key that you tag onto your requests.
And I'll
So.
assume that's also a for-fee service. Right?
That I don't know. Let's see. Learn more.
The pro-ish features, or are you using any more of the paid-for type service? No.
I'm not,
It doesn't look like it costs extra. So,
Maybe usage-based.
yeah, I think it doesn't cost them anything extra to, in their code, check for a header. So yeah. Any other questions? Going once, twice?